Hey Brian, I made you a little something, a little something while I was waiting for you to fix your technical issues. Let's see if this works.
Oh yeah.
Now it's time for the panel. Tune it in, don't you change the channel. It's the panel. It's the vibe. Justin and Brian keeping it alive.
That is crazy. How'd you do that?
That was with Suno. Have you played with Suno?
No, but I want
dude.
to. You know, my favorite thing on like TikTok these days is like classic soul versions of like rock songs. You know, like last night I saw one as like Rage, like Killing in the Name of, as a classic soul song, and they're just incredibly good. You know, it's all AI generated, but it's ridiculous.
I mean, it is unbelievable how good that Suno is. Suno is the most impressive generative AI I've ever used. It
Really?
Like, however they've trained their model to produce songs, they've figured out. Jeffrey Way was mentioning this on the mostly technical podcast, but however they've trained they've figured out what makes a good song, and
You know, I haven't really played with it, but I've heard like AI generated songs. It really is incredible. Are we recording, by the way?
Yeah, we're live now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible to me as someone who like, because I write and compose and produce songs in my free time. I've been doing it my whole life, and like, it's not just like. It's sort of like we've become accustomed to like, okay, AI can generate written content, like it can create words and stuff, but the amount of content that needs to be generated to create a fully produced song with multiple tracks, multiple parts arranged and composed is incredible, you know. And also like there's one like I guess like what you just did was sort of like a totally generated like original song, which is pretty impressive. But I think it's even more impressive, like I was saying, on TikTok, there's this whole ongoing meme of all these different popular songs completely reimagined as like classic soul songs, you know? But it's not just like taking the original song and like putting it through a filter. It's literally rewriting the parts with like different rhythms and different variations on the melody a little bit, you know, and it's crazy, you know.
It's also crazy how fast it can generate a song. Like I could even do this live, I think, where you just so there's a simple mode and a more complicated mode. By the way, you can download all the stems and everything else too. But I could just say who we got in the chat, right and upbeat. Old school punk rock song, New York City style, about people in the chat. And that we could just say, we got Zach, we got Bo, we got Pascal, we've got, who else did I miss here? Dave, we got Dave, Emmett. Okay. So watch how fast this is. And actually, I'm not sure if I'll be able to play it through these speakers, but I can download it. But I just wanted, it's generating right now. Wait, watch how quickly it gives you a result. Almost there. And I can play this now. Like, it's that fast. And again, I don't think I can play it through these speakers, but I'll download it for you, and you'll be like, I can't believe that, you know, it's that quick.
It's crazy. And I'm not so up on all the latest tools in like music production, but one thing that I really want in that world is like AI to help with the mixing and mastering of songs. You know, because like personally, like, you know, and stuff that I create and write, like I'm not interested in using AI to like write stuff for me, because that's just it's like a creative outlet, right? But the process of mixing and mastering, it's like I know how to do it, but I'm not very good at it, and it's sort of a grind, and it takes a lot of time, like getting all the compression and the EQ and the levels and the processing right. Like that's something where I think that I should be able to put some like AI plugins on my mix and have it like, you know, dial in just the right amount of like multi-band compression and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Here, let's see if I can play this quick, and then it might be terrible, so we don't have to listen to the whole thing. But this is the track. Oh, sorry, I just pushed the wrong button.
Zach with a smirk, tearing through the night. Bo's got a laugh like a fist in a fight. Pascal in the corner, eyes burning bright.
This is for you, Chad.
And set to ignite. Concrete jungle crew, running wild, breaking through.
It's great. It's like it has all the stylistic cues of like that like subgenre of punk, right? You know?
Yeah, that's right.
It's
It
crazy.
sounds better than like, I don't remember T-Pain and all that whole auto-tune world. Like it sounds better than that already. So yeah, pretty impressive.
Oh my God.
All right, let's do an official intro. I've just noticed a bug with segments, which is I started it, but now I can't go back and stop it from, like, I can't restart this thing here. So now we're in a
and like a little bug report for you. I was I guess it's not, but I was adding like a segment earlier, and instead of like clicking new segment, I clicked like start show by accident.
Oh, that's probably what happened. Yeah.
Well, but like this was like half an hour ago, and then I just refreshed the page and it was back to normal. But I don't know.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it keeps where you're at, but anyway, we'll just keep track of everything here. All right. Welcome to the panel where bootstrappers talk about building a better business and a better life. I'm Justin Jackson, co-founder of Transistor.fm.
And I'm Brian Castle. I am building Builder Methods.
Nice. You know what? I finally. Where were you? You were a guest on another podcast. Oh no, I was in your workshop, and I realized you pronounce it castle, and I have sometimes said castle.
I noticed that. But I didn't want. You know what's interesting? You pronounce it in a way that nobody has ever mispronounced my name. But like my whole life, people have been mispronouncing castle. Like most of the time, they say Cassell.
Oh, okay.
Occasionally,
Cassell.
they'll say Casel.
Yeah.
But it's not spelled like castle with a T, you know. So but it is pronounced that way. Yeah.
I mean, I should have known because our AI transcription engine on Transistor keeps correcting it to castle, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I should have just known.
Yeah. My all my friends that I grew up with, they call me Cass.
Okay.
And like nobody calls me Brian, you know, from that crew.
So that's where Cass Jam came from.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Cass. I like Cass. Cass is good. That's a good nickname.
Yep.
Talking about high school, I spoke at my son's entrepreneurship class.
I want to hear about this.
I have so many thoughts. So to catch the listener up, my son's entrepreneurship teacher, well, I actually reached out to her and said, you know, if you ever wanted me to speak, I can speak. And she said, oh, that'd be great. Why don't you come, you know, this past Friday? And she had no idea what I was going to talk about. I, for a while, didn't know what I was going to talk about. You and Aaron and I chatted about it last week. And so I ended up giving about a 20-minute talk. People can see me practicing the talk on my website. But what I want to talk about is just this experience was really significant for me. So giving the talk was fine. That was like, I think that was interesting enough for the kids. I think it probably, illuminated some things for them. But the best part was after the teacher invited me to just hang out and kind of circulate while they worked at different tables. And that part there was just so, I'm trying to figure out how to describe this experience. It felt like as I'm interacting with these kids who are grade 11, grade 12, that I started seeing these moments where light bulbs are just turning on in their brains. Like I'm illuminating different parts of the world that they'd never seen before. And that, just having that experience, seeing like these young people who are really at the beginning of their lives, they're on the precipice of adulthood. And it was just wild. Like these two guys came in late, 10 minutes late, and they're both holding skateboards, like every kind of stereotype. Like they're just kind of walking in, and they sit down. They sit down, 10, 15 minutes late. And so I'm circulating, and I see these guys, and I walk over to their table. It's just the two of them sitting there, and they're like, one guy is like drawing graffiti all over his worksheet, and the other guy's just kind of sitting back, like not doing much. I'm like, hey, what are you guys working on? And they're like, we're kind of slackers. We're not really working on anything. And they're kind of giving me vibes like, move along.
Yeah, get out of here, old man.
Get out of here. And I was just like, I'm going to hang out. So I just sat down. I was like, man, you guys, you missed most of my story about running this skateboard shop, one of my first businesses. And that they just lit up a bit. They're like, oh, yeah, like I was wondering what was going on there. And so then I knew, okay, they're a little bit interested here. And I said, well, that ended up being one of the biggest, most expensive mistakes of my life. I ended up losing like $100,000 on that business. And they're like, what? How does that work? And then we got into all this conversation about, I know the local skateboard shops here. So we were kind of comparing the two. One is like stuffed full of inventory, but the inventory doesn't move that fast. The other one is he's run a shop before and his is way more minimal. He's got better turnover. And it was just fun, like kind of building up this again, illuminating things kind of as we went up the stack, and then saying, you know what business I would start? I wouldn't start a retail business, but if I was in skateboarding, snowboarding again today, I would start a manufacturing business, because now in manufacturing, the retailers get all of the orders. Sorry, the retailers give you the orders 6 months before you have to deliver. So manufacturers just take all these orders, which are like guaranteed money, take the orders, send it to the factory in China. They receive the orders like in 4 or 5 months, ship it out to the retailers, and then invoice them. So there's less risk for them. And, asking these kids, like, in that scenario, who's taking on the risk. And they're like, holy shit, it's the retailers. And I'm like, precisely. And this is what I was talking about in my talk. You guys missed it. But I was like, you want bets where you're lowering your risk, asymmetric bets where you're lowering your risk, but creating the chance for a better outcome. And then I said, you know what is the best business ever started by a skateboarder or a snowboarder? They're like, what? And I'm like, well, we talked about Tony Hawk for a bit, but then I'm like, who's really killed it is the founder of Shopify. I said, he got started with a snowboard shop.
Do these kids know Shopify?
Yeah. As soon as I said Shopify, they're like, what? Really? That guy was a snowboarder? No way. And so just getting to share this stuff, and you just get it's so clear when you're hanging out with kids, they know nothing.
Yeah.
Their world is so small.
I have some questions about this whole situation. Like, first of all, are you the only speaker, or like other parents coming in?
No. I was the only speaker.
Okay.
I like introduced myself like personally to kids walking around as they were coming in. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to talk for about 20 minutes. I'm going to tell you 3 stories about how I made a couple $1,000 in high school, how I lost $100,000 when I was in my 20s, and how I built this business I have today. And then I just went into it.
And how much, and is it just like a general like class of like kids, or is it like kids who have like opted in to learn about entrepreneurship?
Yeah, this is one of their options.
Okay. So they can take people who are attending this have some sort of interest in like, or they're curious about, or at least they're curious about like, or they're supposed to be curious about.
That's right. Yeah, the teacher's pretty cool, and I think it's like for some kids, it's an easier class.
Okay. And then how obviously they're tech savvy in terms of users and consumers. They're 12th graders, but like how many people are interested in the tech industry or business in tech versus just business in general versus just getting a job? Like,
I'd say, I would say that maybe a third of the kids were kind of interested in tech. I mean, broadly, I think, again, we live in this small little town, and so most kids haven't met anybody that run a business that's not like a local business. And so just anyone running anything like, oh, you're in podcasting? Oh, wow, that's kind of cool. And, I could put up the homepage and they could see like, kind of having, Spotify, I recognize that logo, and Apple Podcasts, not so much. YouTube, so and some of them listen to podcasts, like maybe a third of them do.
Interesting. Something I'm always sort of reminded of when I talk to like quote unquote normies, whether it's like other parents in my kids' class or like just other friends who are just like not in our industry, even people who do really well in life, and even some people who own incredible businesses but not tech businesses. Yeah, it is that how it's still in 2025 how foreign the concept is of everybody I interact with in my business is remote and everywhere. Like, okay, everyone understands remote work at this point, obviously. Yeah. But the idea that like my team and team members that I've ever hired in my whole life have been not only in other states, but in other countries overseas and all across the world. And then same thing with customers. Like the fact that like all of my entire customer base for all of my businesses has been worldwide and not just in my zip code or area code. And like that is such a foreign concept to people our age in professional life still today. It's still we are still in such a small segment. Like even though tech right now is the biggest part of the stock market. It's what's driving the stock market up or down. And we think, oh, that's the economy. Or, we hang out online all day with people who are extremely online. And we think, oh, that's just normal. These kids, like, there were two girls whose families both have a farm. They both have orchards. There was a guy whose dad runs a paint store, a franchise paint store. These are kind of like the normal, like most of the world still looks like that. Which is why it was exciting to, again, just like be in this group. And like what I wish someone had done for me when I was in high school is said, like, listen, there's actually a way bigger world and way more opportunities that you don't even know about. Like I was extremely online as a kid in the 90s, but I never really thought about building a SaaS business, right? Like it took me taking my first tech job when I was 28 years old. And then my boss gave me a copy of Getting Real by 37 Signals. That's what started turning on lights in my brain. Like, oh, wow, like this is a totally different world here. And until someone introduces it to you and until somebody turns on those lights in your brain or illuminates that part of the world with a flashlight, you don't know about it. And, so what is like the general, what are they asking? What are the kids? Well, like what were like some of the best questions that you heard?
Oh my God. Well, I mean, there was one kid that asked 80% of the questions.
Okay.
Michael, he was hilarious. And interestingly,
Michael's going to be eating our lunch in a couple of years.
Yeah, he was like, he was very, and he was familiar. I don't know if you know Dan Martell. He was like familiar with Dan Martell and had been following him online. And so, he just asked lots of questions. Like, as I was telling my story, he was like, because when I talk about the snowboard shop, I said, I should have declared bankruptcy. The business should have declared bankruptcy, but I felt this moral obligation to pay all of our suppliers. So I took out a second mortgage on our house. And his question was like, excuse me, how did you own a house in your 20s? That was a big one. which was great because it kept reinforcing this idea of luck, which I talked about at the end, which was like, yeah, Michael, you're right. There is some luck involved in that. Like, on one hand, I was unlucky because this business lost a bunch of money. On the other hand, we were able to weather that storm because our house had gone up. You know, we bought our house at that point for $160,000 or something. It had gone up to 280, and so we were able to take out a second mortgage for the difference, right? In so many ways, shitty, but I guess advantageous if you need to go into debt. And so, yeah, there's a few things that kept coming up where he was like, "What about this?" And I was like, "Yeah, you know, that's another form of luck right there." And then at the end, I was able to talk about increasing your luck surface area, which was kind of the final conclusion, which is here's a bunch of things you can do to increase your luck surface area. And and then I had this handout that I made. I wasn't sure if this was like going to be super cringy and like whatever, but I handed it out. And remember my
worksheet.
Yeah, well, it's pretty simple. It's just right here. But I'd printed out a bunch of these, and I was like, "Hey, Michael, can you hand these out to everybody?" And someone's like, "Yeah, Michael, why don't you hand them?"
Kids are the best, man.
Oh, dude. And my son and my son's girlfriend are in this class, so I'd gotten feedback from them beforehand, and afterwards I was like, was this handout really bad? And they're like, "Oh no, that was great." So.
What do we got here? We got like ideas for increasing your luck surface area at night.
Yeah. Move to a bigger city, go to meetups and events, start your own meetup, make stuff with your friends, tell people about what you made, email 10 people you admire, ask those people, how does your business work? Find a mentor in an industry you're interested in, start a small service business, lawn care, pressure washing, barbecue cleaning, dog walking, share your journey on YouTube, podcast, blog, or newsletter. And then I kind of had these 3 general ideas: expand your world, meet new people, start making stuff, do stuff, experiment, and work in different experiences, get experience.
Man, I would be like so incredibly nervous to walk into a high school classroom and talk to kids like that. Like,
yeah,
way more nervous than doing like a workshop for other professionals or this or anything, or going to a conference in our industry. Like, I feel like talking to kids, especially high school kids, would be like, oh my God, no way.
Yeah. I mean, I was pretty nervous about the talk. The thing is, I was a youth worker for the first 8 years of my career, from 20 to 28. So as soon as I was in the high school, I was like, oh, I've been here. Like that was why I enjoyed, I think, hanging out afterwards and talking to the kids. I was like those 2 skateboard guys that were kind of like giving me the, you know, the tough vibe. I was like, I've been here. I know what this is like, you know?
Yeah.
In some ways,
I mean, I really do have like so much respect for teachers in general, you know? And
yes.
like, and like you're saying, like there must be, it must be so rewarding for anyone really to be able to teach something and know that it's being heard, and especially if it's like that's the first time they're hearing it, you know.
Yes.
And you see it, and you start to see it click. Like that is super exciting.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it was just a great experience. I'm going to go back. They're going to have a Dragon's Den, kind of like the Shark Tank, kind of where they have to present their business. So I'm going to be one of the sharks or one of the dragons, which will be fun. I think at this stage of my life, it's nice. Now I'm feeling like I finally have breathing room to give back to the community, to invest in other things other than just, you know, spinning my wheels trying to get the business going. And so, yeah, it was fun.
Nice. Love it.
Yeah. Hey, what else is on your mind?
Let's see. Which segment do we want to pick off here?
You said projects that generate unwanted jobs.
Okay, so
is this going to be some marriage counseling here, or what are we doing?
You know, this will be the segment where I might need some therapy, but
let's do it.
All right. Well, sort of like historically, how should I set this up without rambling too much? I think okay. So like, I think a habit of mine, if I'm going to be like self critical or a thing that I want to improve in terms of like my game, my entrepreneurial game, like how I do this well or not well. One of the pitfalls that I find myself falling into quite often is I will build something, maybe a product, or maybe take on a sub product within my business, or do a project that might be somewhat successful, and I might be happy with what I've built and offered, and people might like it. But typically, most projects that I want to do are things that I get excited about building, and then I build them, and then I ship them, and then I want to be done with them. I want to move on to the next project.
Yep.
And this is best when, like, the ideal scenario is I have a project or a new business or a product that I can spend a lot of effort and time and sweat and put my stamp on it and build it for a couple weeks or months, but then it continues to live on and drive dividends and benefits for the business without needing me to continuously run that hamster wheel.
Yeah.
And that can look like a number of things. Like in audience ops, I spent like 2 full years like really dialing in processes and hiring an excellent team to carry them out.
Yeah.
But then it got to a point where I could really remove myself. And I was literally only touching that business like just a few minutes a week because I had awesome people running the processes that I.
And that's kind of what enabled you to learn how to code. That's what enabled you to like start building Ruby on Rails apps and all that.
Yeah, in 2018, I literally had full-time hours at my disposal because I had audience ops that was just throwing off profit to pay for my time.
Yeah.
And I might get pulled in to put out a fire here and there, but generally, like the day-to-day operations didn't need me.
Yeah.
And then sometimes there can be like a software product or an info product that, you work really hard on creating it and launching it. And then it continues to drive sales like as a somewhat passive income type of situation.
Yeah.
Occasionally with a very simple SaaS, you might be able to do that and have like a support person sort of manning the inbox while you go focus on other things. Things like that, which are nice.
Yeah.
I guess the thing that triggered this topic for me is the project of Agent OS right now.
Okay.
So I shipped version 2.0, and then about 2 weeks after I shipped version 2.1, which sort of corrects some of the mistakes that I made in 2.0, but I think sets it on much more solid ground, right? The whole process of getting just to 2.0 took like over a month, and it consumed all of my time and energy. And this is like 1.0 was already in the market and sort of doing its thing and generating a lot of positive results and growing an audience for me and everything.
Yeah.
But there were definitely some fundamental problems with 1.0 that it definitely needed a 2.0. So then I had to go back into the lab, back into the cave and work on 2.0. It took me like a month to do that. Then I shipped 2.0, and I spent an entire day like really like killing myself to make a long video tutorial on it, and some other projects started to make me realize like there's some fundamental issues with 2.0 also. So that led me to 2.1.
Yeah.
So that's like another 2 weeks. Or really, like I spent like more like 4 or 5 hardcore days like getting to 2.1 to get that out the door. And so now here I am. Okay, 2.1 is out. This morning I did the final video for it. That'll come out next week. But still, Agent OS, like it's definitely a positive thing to have in my business. It's definitely still driving a lot of interest in builder methods and my live workshops.
I mean, right here
tickets.
in the chat, I'm not sure if it's Michael. I started using Agent OS the other day, and it was great. So like, it's like people are talking about it. People are it's driving.
I still love it. I use it. I love actually working on Agent OS itself. I'm excited to keep improving it and maintaining it and growing its audience and user base.
Yeah.
At the same time, Agent OS is a free open source product.
Yeah.
And it is not directly monetized. It is monetized in that it drives people to my Builder Methods Pro membership, and it drives sales for the workshops.
Yeah.
It drives audience to YouTube. So it's an essential ingredient to my overall business model, but it does generate quite a bit of customer support issues, like in my Discord and in elsewhere. People email me and stuff like that. And like,
Yeah.
you know, I really do want to try to answer everyone that asks a question, especially the members. So that becomes a daily job that has been generated now. And it's, and until this business is profitable enough that I can really hire a team and really staff this thing up.
Yeah.
Like now that it actually is a hamster wheel that I have to be running on, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
in addition to the other hamster wheels that I have, like producing YouTube videos and creating content for members and actually building projects, you know? So that's just, I don't know, I guess it's a little bit of a rant. I do sort of see like a light at the end of the tunnel, especially now that 2.1 is out, but it's just it's definitely a pattern that I've noticed with myself, is that like one of my goals in this business is to design it, to design my ideal job for myself. Yes, I want this business to be successful financially and profitable and sustainable and bootstrapped for a long period of time.
Yeah.
That's definitely a goal. But another, just as equally important to me, is I need to come in here every day and be creative and build tools. I want to create, you know, really quality video content.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to do as my daily job. I'm not trying to create a business where it requires me to do like customer support every single day. You know?
Yeah. I think, I mean, it feels like people who are building a business that has some sort of open source component. So Adam Wathan and Tailwind, Taylor Otwell and Laravel, Caleb Porzio and Livewire. First of all, I mean, it does seem like an incredible, you have to get incredibly lucky to get a open source project that gets traction. Step one. You have to be incredibly lucky to be able to monetize in any way around that open source project. I mean, I remember Adam was like racking his brain, like, how can I monetize this Tailwind thing? Because it's free and it's just like, I love it, but it takes a lot of work. Almost everybody I know in open source says it is just so much work dealing with the public, honestly. And it seems like the people that have been able to survive on this like bucking bronco horse that is open source and building a business on it, it's like ups and downs, and they're just able to hold on long enough for it to be making enough money, and then they hire somebody to like take care of the support that comes along with it. So it's definitely a tricky issue, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I do think I've sort of gotten over the hump, and this, you know, I think it's a little bit on more solid ground now. Like I will have more updates to make to it, but there, especially the launch of 2.0 and then 2.1, since these were big fundamental redesigns of the thing, like a lot of people came in with like update issues, like it failed to update, it failed to migrate my old version to the new version, and like so there's a lot of like messiness that happened with that, even though I tried to smooth it out with some docs and some tools. You know, so it could just be like a right now stress point in my life with this, but yeah. I mean, one possible solution could be, and this has worked for me in the past, is, you know, I'm looking through your Builder Methods Discord. By the way, I am super impressed with this community that's kind of assembling in Builder Methods Pro. I think if people are curious about building and coding with AI, they should join. And already there's lots of value. I think there's probably somebody in here that's already helping folks organically for you that you might be able to Oh, there definitely
enable.
is. I've actually had a couple of members already reach out to me and say they would like to, volunteer as like moderators or whatever. And I'm super appreciative of that. And I would love to take people up on that offer as soon as I can. I guess part of the reason why I am a little bit hesitant with doing that is, I do think of it from a business standpoint where it's like, I don't really want to just have volunteers. If I'm going to hire someone, I want to hire someone. Pay them.
Yeah. I mean, if they're happy to do it and they get some sort of tangible benefit from it, like even some people like just being called a moderator or having a special badge on their Discord profile, or it is slightly heightened status. Like you might say, I'll also give you like new builds of Agent OS before anyone else gets them. There might be something that they want that you could give them.
Right. I think you're right about that, but I also think about it like if this person is literally working with me like on my team, then number one, like I'm going to want to give them like real projects to work on that actually add value, that I would not want to just have people do for free. I would want to pay them for that.
Yeah.
And number two is like this goes for literally anyone you ever hire. A lot of times it creates a new job for myself to keep them busy or to think like, how can we make this role work for everyone and be productive? Like that's just how I think about positions. And like, so I recently hired a video editor and he's been fantastic.
Yeah.
But it's been a process of like training him and making sure that he understands my style and details that I want in my YouTube videos, and we have a lot of back and forth about that. But like, I'm paying him like good money to do that,
Yeah, there is an on-ramp here though. So here's a practical example. Mega Maker, the Mega Maker community has always been a paid product. It's $2.99 for lifetime access. And at some point, I asked Helen Riles and what's John's last name? Not John Buddha, but John. How come I can't think of John's last name? Because he just goes as John in our Mega Maker. But Helen and John, I said, hey, you guys are super active. You're just like great in the Slack. Would you like to be volunteers? Here's what I'm kind of thinking. Here's kind of some of the benefits, and they were just like, yeah, like they wanted that role. And even though it's a paid product, even though I couldn't really pay them for it, but there's like for me, there's always this on-ramp. And then when I needed customer support help, who did I think of first? John and Helen. And so I reached out to both of them, and Helen was like, yeah, I can help you. And I'm like, well, it'd just be on contract. We're just starting out. So then step two is just, here's some just contract hours, like pretty minimal, no guarantees or anything. And then Helen had been with us part-time contract for like a couple years. And then I was like, man, it would be great to just like have Helen locked in and have her just take over the responsibility. And by that point we could pay her full time. And then we said, okay, now let's bring you on full time. But there was this nice on-ramp, and that's happened with basically all of our employees. Almost everybody has started in some sort of like, I saw them in the community. They were participating in a voluntary way, whether it was being helpful online or whatever. And then we got them on a short-term contract, and then eventually it became a full-time thing.
I mean, these are definitely good
I think you can
points for
on-ramp
sure.
people.
Like, I think you're right. And also people have just been naturally, it's been really awesome to see when members in the Discord just answer other people's questions, like about Agent OS and stuff.
Yeah.
And I've been really, really happy to see that happen.
And it could also become like, if these people are super helpful and knowledgeable about Agent OS on their own, maybe them getting Agent OS expert badge or being able to communicate that to their clients or something like that. Like,
and
I'm
that's
a verified.
even like a general.
Yeah.
I've always loved that as like a marketing initiative. Is like have like a what do they call it? Like a credential, and
Yeah.
like an official like Agent OS experts directory to help promote yourself to clients.
Yeah.
No, but actually, like you're right, like about the on ramp piece. Like definitely, if and when it comes time to actually hire a real role, like if you're already in the community and you're already technical and you already know Agent OS, like you're definitely at the very top of the list of candidates for sure. But that actually brings up another little tidbit of information that I discovered this week. Is like somebody reached out to me about needing help with, like they sort of need to hire a developer to help them build their app that they vibe coded, and they've had some like early success with this vibe coded version of their app, and they've got a bunch of customers, and now they want to like kind of grow it into something else, and they need like a legit like technical partner to take over from the vibe coded thing and make it like a legit software product.
Yeah.
And like it came to me about that, and we sort of talked about it as like, maybe not. But then like that could be another potential thing inside of Builder Methods Pro. Is like if you're a consultant, or if you're a freelancer, or if you're an agency, or you work with a team that could take on clients like that.
Yeah.
Like maybe there could be some sort of like job board or referral network within Builder Methods Pro, because there's a ton of AI developer experts in this community already. I don't know, that could be like another angle that I hadn't really even considered before. I've been thinking of Builder Methods Pro as just the place to learn and to talk to other developers and to learn how to build. But there's definitely a market out there of people who need help from folks like us. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And that could be an opportunity, you know? Yeah. Sweet, dude.
What you got?
All right. So let's all hold our tongues here. Apologies in advance, but we have to talk about a DHH tweet.
Oh yeah, here we go.
And here's, this is one of the few times I actually, I don't know, agree or I'm interested in this, but the great relief of wealth is the freedom from having to dream of monetizing every successful idea or creation. There's something about this that resonates with me, like real wealth is the freedom to not have to try to monetize every project and every idea that you come up with. And like he's going on to talk about his projects, Markey, Rails, Kamal, Hotwire, all of those are open source, very popular projects, especially Rails, and like DHH personally, and I guess even Basecamp, like they don't make money directly from those projects. They make their money from Basecamp. Yeah, exactly. Well, Basecamp and Hey, he mentions, but yeah, Omarchi is like huge, right? Like that's like a big project that a lot of people are excited about. And
I mean, it's big but it's new, but Rails. And I saw in one of the replies that somebody asked him like, silly question. If you had to monetize one of those, which one would it be? And DHH said like Rails would definitely be the easiest. There's the most money on the line, but no thanks.
Yeah.
Which totally makes sense, really.
Yeah. I mean, and he specifically mentioned Laravel and Taylor Outwell. Yeah, I think this is interesting. This is the thing about, the wrong project at the wrong time is the wrong project. But I've been thinking a lot about like that mega maker stage of my life when I was building 100 projects a year and, following all of my interests and even just like writing my newsletter and all that stuff. It's been so nice to just be able to explore projects and for it to not have to be a moneymaker. Whereas when I was in the building phase, it was like I gotta write to make money. I gotta produce stuff to make money. I gotta build some products to make money. And to be able to explore without that stress is such that is, I think, true wealth. It's just really, really nice when you can get to that stage.
Yeah. And, and people always, I guess I do know why that DHH is such a lightning rod. People either love him or hate him. And this is definitely the kind of tweet that people will love to probably point to and hate on. And I could say, the devil's advocate part would be like, you look at that tweet and you say like, yeah, that's really easy for you to say. You're sitting there, as like the co-founder of Basecamp and Hey, and making millions a year, and I guess if people look to that tweet as career advice, you're looking at it the wrong way.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
I don't think there's, and people will look at it that way, and I don't think that that's the right way to look at it.
Yeah,
because I read it like he's sort of just proud of what he's been able to build and accomplish, and he's also in a very unique, super lucky space, which is different from the Adam Wathans and Taylor Otwells and other people who do use a free, like, what I mean is Rails and Hotwire and Omarkchi, like those projects in themselves do not drive leads to Basecamp and Hey.
Yeah.
Like most Basecamp and Hey customers probably don't even know what Rails is. Frankly.
Yeah.
I'm
still confused. I would love for somebody, this is the marketing case study I want to see, is a deep investigative story on how Basecamp and Hey actually gets customers, because they don't advertise. They don't
they have
really SEO people.
They talked about how it hasn't worked.
Yeah. And if you look at their advertisements, they were like so shitty. Like that billboard campaign that they did was like not good. So I'm like super curious, like what actually drives most of their business. And my sense or my guess is that they just made such a big splash back when the web was small that they were able to get so many customers from that initial splash that now it's just word of mouth. Like whatever that referral machine is,
I think you're exactly right. I think you're exactly right about that. But I also think that it's like that plus the fact that they stayed out there and vocal and kept their public profiles high for the next 20 years after that. Because you could also point to many other super early SaaS products that started 20 years ago and it sort of just withered away because nobody's ever heard of the founders and where that company went. And obviously this is not the recipe that everyone should follow. And if you don't want to be the build in public guy or gal, like you don't like that, maybe that's not for you, but it obviously has been for them.
I am so curious about that part, because that's the other element that I'm always like, I wonder, because I've always said that they're just very good at running a cult. Like they a lot of that,
that's
like
kind of true.
Like the Basecamp way, I think a lot of people, although I'm curious what percentage of customers, a lot of their customers are like, I want to do things the Basecamp way. And you're getting sold on a methodology, a way of thinking, a way of believing.
I think there's always, for any good product, especially a product that sells to businesses and organizations that have team members and clients, there's always going to be a natural flywheel of word of mouth.
Yeah.
Right? So you're going to get your initial customer, and they work at a company which is exposed to a couple hundred people, and some of those people will migrate to other companies, and they'll introduce Basecamp to those other companies. And maybe this company serves 2,000 different clients, so now those clients are exposed to Basecamp, and they hear about it from that original customer, right? So that's one customer case study, sort of flowering into a whole little mini network of whatever, like I don't know, some like accounting firm that some person at an accounting firm started to use Basecamp, and now that so that cycle like repeats itself across 1,000 customers. But you're always going to have the flywheel of word of mouth, but that alone can't keep you growing for 20 years. Like you still need to also attract new first customers, right? And I think that's where the podcasts and the tweets and the blog
but where do you think they're actually like, what's you think that's like public appearances and stuff like that is where they're making their money?
I do, like, literally. I listen to their podcast a lot, and they were just talking about this. I think last week or the week before, like, how do they do marketing at Basecamp?
Yeah,
and DHH said, he was like, so the general theme is like they really don't know, like they don't track it very closely, and they do believe that it is a lot of word of mouth and just a lot of just being out there, but occasionally, like DHH said this, he's like, when I went on Lex Friedman's podcast, which he did like 3 or 4 months ago, that was a massive spike of splash of new people.
Oh,
right?
interesting.
And then Jason said that like something like 2 or 3 years ago, or maybe this was around the launch of Hey, they were featured in the New York Times, and like that drove a massive spike in signups, right? So you get these like massive spikes, you get a little PR here and there, but then you get a lot of small bumps of these tweets that go viral, or these, and again, like I'm not saying that like those alone can be your entire growth strategy, because the fact that they've been around for 20 years, they also have the multiplier of the natural product word of mouth.
Yeah. I'm so curious. Like I mean, I wish they could. I wish they could be. I wish they knew where their customers are actually coming from. Like that would be
I think,
so interesting to know.
And I think they've talked about in the past that they've tried to invest a lot of dollars and people into figuring that out, like hiring a data person to try to figure that out. And they're like, even that like turned out to be a wasted investment. Like it turned out like even if we try to measure it, we can't.
That's. I mean, I'm also a little bit like surprised by that too. Like, yeah, I don't know. I wish I knew what those numbers were. I would love to see that on more, like those are the case studies I want to see. Obviously no one wants to do that because it's like, who would want to tell people where their customers are coming from, I just
think that the answer is never going to be one thing. I think it's always going to be, especially in SaaS, and especially B2B, like the answer to having a a high level growth, a high level of like growth into millions of revenues for decades. It's never going to be. You can't just say like we are a Google Ads driven business and that's our funnel that we're just going to keep pumping dollars into. I think it always has to be. I really think that product and word of mouth from the product is the essential. And then you're going to have these other pieces, which can be any mix of things that like add those like initial sparks. But in order for those initial sparks to turn into flames and to turn into like whatever forest fires, if we're going to keep going with that metaphor, is like it has to be word of mouth from the product, right? Like but at the same time, like just a brilliant product that's beautiful on every level. If you never get that initial spark, no one's ever going to see it.
I mean, to me, that's the crazy thing is that their products don't look like anybody else's products, and some people do not like it. It's definitely, their stuff is rougher than a lot of web apps, like because they're anti JavaScript, and so a lot of the interactions don't feel awesome. A lot of it feels clunky to me still. But
I agree with that.
There, people use and seek out their products, like, and the only people I know that use them are people that are like believers. They're like, we are in the 37 Signals, fan
From
fan
a
base.
product design standpoint, I think there've definitely been parts of their products where they've gone overboard, in my opinion, in terms of like a opinionated style. You especially see this in Hey. And I used Hey for like maybe 7 or 8 months. And there were things that were just like, all right, calling it the inbox, IMBOX, like, yeah, that's cute, but like, I don't want to see that misspelled word every day,
Yeah.
Things like that. But then at the same time, it's like, I think the real value, especially in Basecamp, is the simplicity.
Yeah.
And like, there's a lot of just everyday business users who they just want a super simple project management That and also like I really respect their approach to like microcopy in the app, like what they call buttons, how they explain how features work. Like it's so like everyday, like human.
Yeah.
And like honestly, like I use Notion a lot. And I've like continuously looked for like excuses to leave Notion. Like it's too bloated, too many buttons, too many this and that. But at the same time, like I also kind of appreciate the power and and like what you can do with it. And that's why like I end up like not really using Basecamp, is because I want a little bit more power than what they provide. So so I think that their niche, really, if you're gonna call it that, is like people who just want something like simple, basic, don't need the bells and whistles, you know?
Yeah. I mean, this is like one of the crazy things about jobs to be done, is that so much of the job that people are doing when they hire a product is emotional. It's like there's just, and people like to be in tribes, you know? They like to be in I'm in the Tailwind tribe. I'm in the Bootstrap tribe. I'm in the React tribe. I'm in the Vue tribe. Like people like to have teams. They like to be able to identify with a group. Yeah. Anyway,
I do tend to really respect, and I tend to resonate with companies and people and founders and designers who really lean into the opinionated thing.
yeah,
it's
except,
something,
except
and
when
like
people
I
are
might not agree
playing
with their
as-
design.
Except when people are cosplaying as 37 Signals. I don't like that. It feels like some of that is like people are like, you know, strutting around and not being authentic. But yeah.
I think that's probably true, but I think from them, like Jason and DHH, like whatever, like they might rub people the wrong way, but I think that they truly believe the things that they say.
Yeah.
You know, and they sort of don't care about the people who don't agree with them. And I kind of have a respect for that. Like I often agree with them, but I also often disagree with little things here and there. But I'm much more interested, and I have a higher level of respect for that.
Yeah. I just posted an informal poll in the chat, and so far, tweets, blog posts, public persona, audience, that's one option that's been chosen twice, and word of mouth has been chosen once. So, yeah, you know, it's I think most folks are going to be like, you know, that it is one, it's got to be those things. They're not they're not SEO
and I think
people
that they
or ad
acknowledge
people.
that too. They say and even from the very earliest days, like they also had one of the earliest blogs out there. You know,
I mean, we're talking about them right now. So obviously it works. Yeah. You got anything else you want to chat about?
I didn't really have this on our list, but just the other night I was watching, I guess it was a YouTube clip from OpenAI's Dev Day with Sam Altman interviewing Johnny Ive. You know, and they have this like collaboration, this deal now where OpenAI acquired Johnny Ive's thing, and apparently they're working on some big new product or products. Nobody knows what it is yet, but twice a year they sort of surface with one of these interviews and shows the two of them talking, right?
Yeah.
And so I thought, and I caught there was like one section of it where Johnny Ive was talking about, or I guess Sam Altman was asking Johnny about his design approach, his product design approach and process. Like what do we see behind the scenes? And I thought it was a fascinating. I also want to talk about that other. All right, I'm like thinking of new segments on the fly. Anyway, Johnny was saying he was asked about what happens in the middle from, okay, so you go from idea, or maybe you see like a customer job to be done, and I sort of understand the idea of like identifying a job to be done and a customer need. And doing customer research. I understand that part. And then I understand the end part where it's like we have like an almost finished product and we need to refine it and just dial it in and polish it. But what happens in that middle where it's like like trying to figure out what nobody sees behind the scenes. Like, how do you actually design the product? How do you figure out it should be this type of interface versus that type of interface? And he didn't go into a lot of detail on it, but he said one thing about like craft. And I think it goes against what a lot of us talk about, is that like, especially like bootstrappers and the whole like minimal viable product idea.
Yeah.
Where it's like design just enough to solve the problem, or just enough to get the product into customers' hands so that you can stay alive. And I get the notion behind that.
Yeah.
But the way that Johnny Ive was talking about it, it was like, well, we really, really care about every single aspect of a product. And I think he was hinting at the old story about Steve Jobs, where it was like he really cares about what the back of the computer looks like, the part that's always going to see the wall, right?
Yeah.
Or you know, that nobody's ever going to see. So like, why does that have to look pretty or look sleek or whatever? It's like, well, it's because like every detail, even the inside of the computer, needs to be well designed and well thought out, and take pride in your craft.
Yeah.
And I guess the way that he was describing it, he was like, if you don't care about those things, well, what does that say about you?
Yeah.
That, like, it's almost like you have a lack of empathy or respect for your end users. And maybe that's a harsh way of putting it. But like that really sort of resonated with me, is that like, I think I again, like, it's one of these things that I have a high level of respect for just true designers who really care about delivering something that like makes their users' lives actually better, and not just something that's like sellable, you know?
Yeah. I mean, this really comes out in that Apple in China book, because they talk about how obsessed Apple was with sending their engineers over to these factories in China, and they would just live there for weeks and months and just dial in these processes. And the kind of the arc or argument or push of the book is that a lot of China's ability and their bar for quality actually was ingrained in them by Apple. It was Apple coming over and kind of introducing this culture of, we care so much. And it really, you can see how it squeezed people. This is the dark side of that approach, I think, is that like these executives and people who work for Apple are on record saying, like, your marriage would end, you'd never see your kids, you were just there thinking all the time. To get to this bar, there was a significant cost. And then the factory owners themselves would also say, like, they were really reducing their margins, and in order to get this business, just on a hope that they'd be able to make it up in volume. But everybody's getting squeezed in this system. But
yeah, no, it's true. You know, that's a real thing.
And on the other hand,
at the same time, it's like we see like the new versions of iOS with a ton of bugs, and like you can't help but think like that would not have shipped under Jobs.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of try to sit in the middle, which is, I want us to be shipping things, and eventually this has got to be good enough to ship. But I'm also in that mode of like, this has got to be good. Like, this is, we have to be thinking through this. We have to test this out. Let's test this on mobile. Let's, like, we wrote that copy quick and we haven't looked at it since. What does that copy actually say? Okay, we should fix that. And I think John Buda is also just really good on the technical side of being like, let's make sure this is solid, this is well formed, this is ready to ship. Like, we don't want to be sloppy. And this is so hard to do well. You know, it's so incredibly hard, because it's like number one, I think a lot of it just starts with like really solid fundamentals, like really knowing what is the actual problem that we're solving with this, and who is it for, and why do they care about it? Because there's going to be 3 or 4 other versions of that problem that we have to say, like, no, we're not quite solving those. We're solving this, you know? Yeah.
That's a really hard part. But then the other hard part is the schedule. We are all so impatient. Customers are impatient. Our business's bottom line is impatient. We are impatient. We want to ship as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
but a lot of times it just requires a couple more cycles to get it right, you know?
Interestingly, I think AI actually is going to play a huge role in this, because I think AI, in the way that it can assist us, like we were talking about UIs, like because it has all of the patterns, all of the UI patterns that have ever been made. Its first like one-shot UI is probably going to be pretty good. And so already you've been brought up to like 70%. And then it's going to be your job as a product creator to refine it, so that it's good. But at least you're not looking at a blank page. And I also think like some of these things, like some features, like we're thinking about like, you know, how would we even try out in Transistor? Like we've always wanted to build this feature where people could advertise on each other's podcasts. So, you know, we've got the panel, Ian and Aaron have mostly technical. There's no reason where we shouldn't have dynamically inserted ads promoting each other's podcasts to each other's audiences. But to do that feature, which is really a product within a product, to do that well, it's overwhelming. It's just like to get every interaction right. And
that would be awesome, by the way.
It would be so awesome. And it always felt too big before. But now with AI, I'm like, well, the prototyping stage, we could really do a lot faster. And then just working through like these things that might normally overwhelm us. Now there's like more options for like, okay, well, let's use AI. Let's use Agent OS. Let's use Claude Code. Let's try to like work through some of this stuff, even if it doesn't generate, you know, obviously it's not going to generate everything the way we want it. It at least gets us unstuck. Like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
It tried to do it this way. I would never do it that way, but that now has given me an idea of how we might build it over here.
Totally.
So, yeah, I think that's going to be maybe the advantage of being an indie bootstrapped software company, is that hopefully we can all get better. Like hopefully these iteration loops can get a lot smaller. And the other thing, it's going to create a lot of apps that are at 70% that kind of suck. And so who's willing to put in the extra work to actually make it good, those are the people who are going to win.
I want to go to that Stripe podcast that you talked about last time. Actually, let's just get into that now.
Cheeky Pint?
Cheeky Pint. I just started watching it, and I watched the whole episode of the one with RJ Scaringe from Rivian.
Oh yeah. That's
I think it's his second to last one.
Yeah. Let's see
at the
here.
top there. It's on the top row, second to left.
Oh, right here. Yeah.
Yeah. This was a fantastic episode. I love this show now. I'm going to go back and listen to.
Isn't
a
it
bunch
great?
Of them.
It's so great,
and it's really well done on YouTube too. Like they're literally like in this like pub and drinking beers and stuff. But what's his name from Stripe?
John Collison.
Yeah, Collison. Like he is a really great. Like he's not a natural interviewer, but like as you know, we were talking about this last time. Like two high level, founders and product leaders having this like level of credibility with one another makes for such a great interview. This interview with the founder of Rivian, the electric car company, and I'm a big fan of Rivian. I don't have a Rivian, but I'm hoping to get an R2 next year when it comes out.
Yeah.
But I do own a Tesla, and this was a really fascinating interview with Scaringe Scaringe. I don't know how to say his name. Because I usually only see him interviewed on places like CNBC and stuff, and he's usually just talking about like the Rivian stock price and like, is Rivian going to survive, and can Rivian like ramp up their scaling and factories and stuff like that.
Yeah,
this interview got into this guy as a product leader, product owner, and it brought my level of respect for him as a technical product guy to a whole other level. Like this guy, like I love seeing when the CEO is so in tune with how the product is designed and engineered. Like he started getting into like literally how their combustion engine is designed and how they're like tweaking it for the R2 and all the little product trade-offs and like costs and user experience and UI and like the decision to not go with CarPlay and to develop their own software platform. And like, he got so into the weeds that it was so fascinating. And it's like, oh man, it's like a whole hour of taking apart a Rivian and understanding how it works. And like, it's so like, do you think like the CEO of Ford or GM or Toyota really knows like how their cars are made? Like, not nearly the level of how this guy knows how his own products are designed.
I mean, this already looks, I haven't listened to this one yet, but this part here, John pitches some car features. I love those segments. Yeah. Like,
that was a great segment. He was like, yeah, like me and my wife have a Rivian and we have all these like feature requests. Like, so he was talking about how, like, why is it? And it's an interesting question. Like, you know, the rear view mirror in the center, how come that is not mechanical? Like we can have the mechanical left and right mirrors.
Yeah.
But it can't remember my, like, you know, and
it can't remember, because in Tesla it's like that too. You have to move it,
yeah.
And I've always wondered, like, why, like, you've got all this eye tracking software, like, why can't you just have it always track my eyes where I'm looking at and adjusting that way, you know?
And he talked about how, like, well, that is a product trade-off. Like we could build it, but we would have to sacrifice cost somewhere else in the car, you know. And then there was just also thinking about like Rivian's business model is really fascinating, because he talked about how Rivian and Tesla are the only two car companies right now, or major ones, where the entire car is on its own software platform.
Yeah.
You know, where you can literally do like a software update to have it update the mechanics of how the trunk opens up, you know. But every other car on the market, the GMs, the Fords, the Toyotas, like all of them, they are outsourcing every little component.
Oh, interesting.
And every seat, every rear view mirror, every like window, they're each on their own individual computers. So all the current Fords out there, all the current, you know, whatevers, Mercedes, like a lot of these, like they have like 200 different computer components on 200 different platforms that they outsource from 200 different suppliers, and they just put it under like a Mercedes brand.
Yeah.
But Rivian and Tesla control their own software platforms.
Yeah. Which is huge.
It's huge. But then also, like, I guess they're going to be, he was like, look, over the next 5 years, AI is going to make its way into cars in a big way. Like intelligence into like how you're driving is going to impact how this and that works in your car. And like, he was like, every car company is going to need a centralized software platform. And so like Rivian is trying to actually like sell that as a platform to other car companies. Yeah.
Well, I noticed somebody, was it Mercedes, just announced that they're not using CarPlay anymore. This is the reason I really love this podcast is, so here's that moment we were talking about in the transcript. By the way, on Transistor, when you can actually link to a particular part of the transcript, and then we could play it right here. But so this is John speaking. He's saying, last time I saw you, I was asking you about CarPlay and saying how you guys needed to implement it. But then I realized afterwards that I think when people say, so you know this is going to be gold, he's realizing things. Oh, sorry, I'm not sharing the tab. He's realizing things about what he said before. Like he's thinking about it. So you know this is going to be good. When people say they want CarPlay, or when I said I wanted CarPlay, what I actually want is navigational and traffic data from a source that I trust. This is the kind of stuff that makes me obsessed about this show. Is if you are a diehard product person, if you are a diehard jobs to be done person, if you are like thinking on this level all the time, this show is like, it is the best. It's the best show ever for this kind of stuff, because it's totally unfiltered. It is, there's no bullshit. There's no like somebody interviewing the person and they don't know what they're talking about. Like this is a high level product person talking to another high level product person. And we're just going to get to why do customers behave this way? Why do people buy this way? Why do users use things this way? What motivates people? So,
by the way, I loved his answer to that question, right? So probably in the next paragraph, what he said was exactly that. He was like, okay, so we looked at it at like the fundamentals, like really what is the main benefit or what is the main pain point if we don't go with Apple CarPlay? It's like the lack of quality maps. So we did a Google Maps integration.
yes.
And it's like we solved that fundamental problem with the Google Maps integration.
Yeah.
And then and it's like, that allowed us to move forward with our own, because like that's like a hard requirement. It's like they don't want to have these like fragmented and frankly, it's like it made it clear to me like Apple CarPlay is probably going to fade away in the next couple of years because every car is going to need to have its own software platform.
Yeah.
I
just love the fact that it's called out. Like there's so many of these things just sitting underneath the surface. And it's like, why do, like for myself, if I'm using CarPlay, I always use Google Maps. Well, why? Well, it's just at some point I didn't like Apple Maps and I was like, it doesn't consistently give me the results I want. So now I just consistently choose Google. Haven't tried Apple again in years. Well, why is that? Well, it's because I want to trust the maps. I'm not going to make that decision every time I get in the car. Apple Maps or Google Maps? Like, no, I'm going to choose the one that works best for me. And
it's true. Still, when I look at maps on the iPhone, I pull up Google Maps and not Apple Maps.
And it's the same for, why did I want CarPlay in my Tesla? Well, it's because I was using Apple Music and I couldn't use Apple Music in well, then they added the app. And at first it sucked, but now it's gotten better. So it's like you can deal with some of these things.
I still think maybe I should try it again, but I still stream music from Apple Music on the iPhone.
I know, it's
Tesla.
so frustrating. But this is like when you actually talk to users or when you actually evaluate, like, why am I doing this? Why am I behaving in this way? Why do users say they want this and not this? And sometimes it's maddening. Like, we'll ask people, why did you switch to Transistor? And what will come out was, it just felt right, or I was getting tired of the old competitor. And it's like, there's no practical, meaty reason that you can just say that you can take and then, create a whole marketing campaign around it. Some people just switch because they're just like, just tired of the old thing, just got to get something new.
And as we've been talking on this show, it's like we know what it's like to make all these product trade-offs and all the many conversations and debates that you have to figure out in order to make a feature shippable. Like it's so incredibly difficult for somebody on the outside, like a customer or a user of a thing, to know why was making that so simple to use? Why was that so complicated to build? Or why can't you make this simpler? Because they don't know about the 1,000 other use cases that we know about, right? And that again, like that's why I have such a high level of respect for founder level people who are in the weeds like that. Like this guy RJ, frankly, like Elon Musk. Like there's a lot I hate about Elon Musk lately, but like that's a big reason why I chose to get a Tesla a couple of years ago. It's because like I heard him on these like deep dive interviews with like Lex Friedman or someone else, where it's like this guy knows how the technicalities work in this thing, and like he really cares about the experience. There's not many founders at like and you could say the same about like Steve Jobs back in the day too. Like these huge well-known companies. Like in our industry, it's sort of expected that we're somewhat in the weeds at least. Yeah. But like, at the highest level, worldwide level, like it's kind of rare.
I mean,
to see,
you do notice this already. If you drive a Tesla, and then you go drive basically any other EV, except for maybe Rivian. I haven't driven one of those. The user experience in the Tesla is better. It's just they've thought through things better. The software is better. Hyundai makes great cars. They make great electric cars. But I've been in Hyundais, and the software user experience is not very good. And I think what Tesla figured out was that a lot of what you're doing in the car or what gets you back to the car is the user experience. It's actually all the UI. It's all the interacting with UIs. And yeah, that's why they keep selling cars.
Yeah. I'm also fascinated with cars and I'm not even like a car junkie like a lot of people are, but like as a like that's why like I like to splurge a little bit on the family car because we spend so much time in it. We go on so many trips, even just day to day. We'll go on day trips all the time. I spend so much time in it that like it's a product that I use, that I somewhat live in sometimes, that it's like I really want it to be comfortable. I want it to be interesting and fun to drive, you know? And yeah. I can't recommend this podcast. I'm going to listen to this episode too. You've definitely convinced me, but there's just so many incredible moments here. Like he's saying the existence proof that if you have a compelling product, there will be a lot of demand is Tesla. Like the product's compelling. And the reason they're selling a lot of Model Ys is there's just not a lot of other choices. Like when people try them out, they're like, this is still the more compelling choice of my options. And there's also something about this guy because he asked about it in the early questions in the interview because it's sort of fascinating. Like, where the hell did Rivian even come from? You know, where did this guy RJ Scaringe come from? It's like, where do you get off just starting a car company? Who does that?
Yeah.
You know? And he sort of didn't really have a good answer to that. He was just like, yeah, I just sort of like did it. And I managed to get to raise a lot of funding and managed to have a really good first version, which convinced investors to get on board with a second version. And because like Elon Musk like had the money from PayPal and stuff to start, or to get into Tesla, but like, it's just it's like a fascinating company in general and like trajectory of a startup. It's like who's going to start a competitor to GM, you know, in America? Like it's insane.
No one's going to do that.
Yeah.
I think I got to wind it down here.
Yeah, man.
Good episode, dude. I'm glad we got on the mics again. Nice to see you again,
sir.
everyone in the chat. Pascal, Dave, Junta. We got Bo back again. See some of these names. Helen, I see you in there. The old chatter from the old days. Nice to see you. Ryan Hafner made it. Everyone. Yeah, this is great. And yeah, we'll see you, I think, next week. Should be back Thursday.
Yeah, I should be back.
Yeah, I'll be here too. So we'll see you next Thursday if you want to catch us live, or Friday if you're listening after the fact. See you, everyone.
Yes, sir. Later.